So this practice can be helpful for just simply observing and monitoring our thinking, but it can also be helpful for when we're trying to get to sleep as well. So it's very common that when we lay our head down on the pillow, our mind starts to race with lots of different thoughts. Perhaps it's thinking about the day that you've just had, rehashing things that you've done, worrying about things tomorrow, or just planning things. And when we do this lots and lots over time, our mind starts to associate lying in bed on the pillow with this kind of revolving, perhaps circular thinking, things going round and round and round. So in this practice, what we're going to do is imagine our thoughts flowing in a different kind of way. So rather than them going round and round, we're going to kind of imagine them flowing in and out of an imaginary room. So if you haven't done so already, just closing your eyes, getting into a comfortable position. Perhaps you're lying on your bed. You can just be sat in a chair if you want to practice this during the day as well. So just begin by taking a few conscious breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. So really feel the air traveling in through the nose, expanding the chest, the lungs, the belly, noticing all of those sensations and feeling each out breath right until the moment that breath finishes. So now what I want you to do is imagine your mind as an open space, like an expansive white room. It doesn't matter if during this practice you can't get a clear image in your mind. Just having the intention of following these instructions is often enough. So don't worry if you can't picture this white room in your mind, just do your best. And in this white room, I want you to imagine that on either side, on the left and right, are two doors. You can imagine these doors in whatever way you want, perhaps bringing to mind a kind of wooden frame. And for the next several minutes, we're going to be imagining our thoughts as we notice them enter our mind, our consciousness. Imagine them entering in through the left-hand side of this room. So this door being open and just willingly allowing the thoughts to come in and momentarily drift into that room. And we want to bring an attitude of curiosity to our thinking here, and standing back and simply observing the thoughts coming into the room, not trying to change them in any way, not trying to usher them out or push them out, allowing that to happen in its own time. So imagining on the other side of the room another door where the thoughts are free to leave whenever they want to. So each time you notice a thought, it might be a bit of language, words, a phrase, or it might be an image. Seeing if you can imagine this as this thing entering into the room from the left-hand side, observing it as if you're stood back watching that room, witnessing those thoughts coming into the room. And just imagining them just drifting off slowly out of the other door. And of course, what tends to happen is we get lost in thought. All of a sudden, we then notice that we've been in a particular pattern of thinking. And that's okay. As soon as that happens, simply reimagine the white room, imagining the thought in the room, perhaps just saying to yourself, there's a thought, and allowing it to drift out of the room. And you may notice the same kinds of thoughts keep coming back. Perhaps your mind likes to fix on a particular type of thinking, a particular story or worry, and that's okay. If it wants to keep coming back, allow the thought to come back in its own time and treat it in exactly the same way. Simply watch it come into the room, into that open space of your mind, and when it's ready, allow it to just pass on freely of its own accord. If you notice any thoughts like, this is frustrating, why does this keep coming back? That's completely normal. Just treat these thoughts, these words, in exactly the same way. So again, regardless of what the thoughts are, what the content is, whether it's thoughts about this exercise or thoughts about something that happened earlier or tomorrow, seeing if you can notice each thought, imagine it coming into the open space of your mind, into that white room, observing it with a sense of curiosity, and then just letting it move on out of the room. And as you do this, you might want to now, if you haven't been already, focus on your breathing. So allowing the breath to calm you and soothe you as you do this exercise, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you continue to notice thoughts, memories, worries, anything that shows up, move into this room and pass out of the room. Notice what happens to your body as you do this. Notice how you're feeling right now. Notice if treating your thoughts in this way allows your body to soften or relax. So the aim of exercises like this is often not to try to feel relaxed, to force ourselves to feel comfortable in some way. But if that is the result that you get from this, then that's a bonus. So just notice if you're clinging on to any kind of desperate feeling to relax yourself here, and just notice those thoughts in exactly the same way. So allowing those thoughts about wanting to feel calm, wanting to feel sleepy maybe, noticing them come into that room and pass out the other side. And it's completely normal to forget about the whole room, to find yourself lost in thought over and over again. That's okay. Each time you do this, just reminding yourself about this open space, this white room, and allowing that thought to pass through it. So this exercise is going to finish soon, but you can continue practicing it if you wish after it finishes. Continue sitting or lying wherever you are, continuing to treat all of your thoughts in exactly the same way, just observing them coming and going through this empty space, this white room in your mind. And you can use this technique throughout the day if you need to. It can be used to simply acknowledge difficult or distressing thoughts that show up for you, imagining them just passing through your mind. Or it can be used at nighttime if you're lying in bed and you tend to sink into a pattern of thoughts circling and spiraling around in your mind, which gets you feeling ramped up and perhaps anxious. Just using this technique to simply observe your thinking. So now finishing this exercise.